Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. And today I actually want to talk about the Chinese government. Now, this is probably going to be a controversial topic. I am not really going to sit here and take sides. I just want to deliver facts on the ground here regarding the entire Hong Kong protest and how we are responding. Now, if you are not familiar, there has actually been a slew of basically deals gone awry when it comes to US-based entities and the Chinese government over what many consider freedom of speech and what the Chinese government considers basically toxic to its government. So, for example, there was a tweet that was done by somebody from the Houston Rockets. That's an NBA team. That's basketball, professional basketball. And basically, the Chinese government pulled the contracts and basically the ability for the NBA to do business in China, which obviously is a huge deal. Recently, Apple and Google, which is where I'm going with this, basically pulled apps out of their app stores, their respective app stores, that the Chinese government found, again, quote unquote, toxic, that was helping, let's say, the protesters in Hong Kong basically spot where the police were as that continues to go on. And again, I'm not necessarily talking good, bad. I don't know or care what side you're on, but these are the facts on the ground. Now, on top of this, we have officials in the United States government, including General Paul Nakasone, who recently said at FireEye's Cyber Defense Summit in Washington, D.C., and I quote, "The Chinese government has subverted pro-democratic demonstrators with fake social media posts, providing us a snapshot of how Beijing weaponizes information." Now, the question that I've got here today is, what is the balance between what, let's say, places in the world like the United States, Europe, Australia, South Africa, etc., consider free and open information versus, let's say, what a country like China does, and how do we actually do business there? How do we actually draw a line to say, you know what, this is how we operate as Apple, as Google, as the NBA, as even South Park, who recently got banned for a controversial episode, versus what we need or what we need to do to work with the Chinese government. And I think this is actually something that's very interesting, not necessarily from the perspective of freedom of speech or freedom of information, so much as it is two disparate civilizations, if you will, two disparate societies, each with their own concept of values, of privacy, of authoritarianism, of surveillance, and all of that. We're basically butting heads. Apple and Google are two of the largest corporations in the world. Neither one of them want to be able to lose the ability to do business in China, and so they're willing to basically go to great lengths to censor search engines like Google is doing, or pull apps like both Apple and Google are doing that their host government in China finds offensive. It's the same with the NBA. They're going to lose millions, if not more, with this deal. I have no idea what will happen to South Park in that sense. So I think that's the question for today that we really need to examine and we really need to discuss, because it directly relates with technology. And if a government like China has the ability to, let's say, pull apps at will from the two major app stores on the planet, and then weaponize information against, let's say, pro-democratic demonstrators, according to General Paul Nakasone, where's the line? That's the thing. We are, and I'm sure Apple and Google are not trying to get involved in, what the Chinese government considers an internal conflict, but they are, in the sense that they provide a platform for developers to use, and providing those apps are safe. They're typically published by both Google and Apple, and now we have them censoring their own app stores, in the censorship wishes of the Chinese government, which is essentially the antithesis of where these two companies are based, which is the United States. We have the ability here to basically go after our government to say what we want to say without fear of repercussion, short of, let's say, yelling fire in a crowded theater, that kind of thing. And so I think it's something that we need to discuss. I think it's something that's interesting. And again, I'm not bashing any side here. You may have starkly different views than me, and that's completely okay. I'd like to understand them. I'd want to hear about them to understand the perspective of this, because from the way it looks for much of the planet outside of China, this looks like an authoritarian regime inserting its control and influence basically to corporations that don't want to lose revenue, and so they're willing to do what they have to do to ensure that money keeps coming in. So, tell me, I'm curious, and I'm curious to know your thoughts, but that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, and please feel free to subscribe to me on YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks.